Disclaimer. This story is a work of fiction created with the assistance of AI tools for educational and entertainment purposes. Names, characters, businesses, places, events, locales, and incidents are either the products of the author's imagination or used in a fictitious manner. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. Blood soaked through Olivia Romano's crisp, white blouse the moment she hit the boardroom floor, crimson blooming across the fabric like a terrible flower. Not from the fall, but from the poorly bandaged wound beneath that had finally torn open. 20 pairs of eyes locked on her crumpled form, but only one man truly saw what was happening. Luca Corleone rose silently from his seat at the head of the table, his obsidian gaze shifting from Olivia's exposed bruises to Vincent Shaw's face. The CFO's momentary smirk vanished instantly when he realized who had witnessed it. Meeting adjourned, Luca announced, his quiet voice somehow filling the entire room. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. I said, meeting adjourned. Now, hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm thrilled to share this powerful story with you today. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, because this story about justice, protection, and what happens when the wrong man notices the right details is going to leave you speechless. Olivia had spent months perfecting the art of hiding her boyfriend's escalating abuse. High-necked blouses to cover the fingerprints on her throat, makeup to conceal the shadows beneath her eyes, excuses for the times she couldn't lift her arm in meetings because of cracked ribs. Vincent Shaw was not just her boyfriend, but the company's financial officer, untouchable in his Harvard-polished arrogance. "No one will believe you," he'd whisper each morning as he straightened his tie in their apartment mirror. "And even if they did, who would risk crossing me to help you?" She believed him until today, until a dizzy spell from blood loss and exhaustion sent her crashing down during her quarterly presentation, until the carefully constructed facade literally split open on the gleaming boardroom floor, until Luca Corleone, the company's majority shareholder and rumored connection to the city's most powerful crime family, looked at her with eyes that missed nothing. As executives scrambled to clear the room, Olivia felt herself being lifted with surprising gentleness. Through pain-blurred vision, she saw Luca's stern profile as he carried her toward his private elevator, his Italian wool suit now stained with her blood. "Please," she whispered, "you don't understand what he's capable of." The elevator doors closed, sealing them inside the silent capsule. Luca's expression remained impassive, but something dangerous flickered in his eyes as they descended. "No, Ms. Romano," he replied, his voice a low rumble that contained the promise of something terrible. "It is Vincent who doesn't understand what I am capable of." As consciousness slipped away, Olivia realized she had just traded one deadly situation for another. The question was, which man should she truly fear? When Olivia regained consciousness, she was surrounded by luxury that made even Artemis Pharmaceuticals' executive suite seem modest by comparison. Cream-colored walls, Italian marble floors, and floor-to-ceiling windows revealed a penthouse view of the city skyline from what had to be one of the tallest buildings downtown. A doctor in a tailored suit was carefully stitching the wound on her side, while a stone-faced woman stood nearby, monitoring medical equipment with professional detachment. "You have 3 fractured ribs, a laceration that required 12 stitches, and bruising consistent with repeated physical assault," the doctor stated clinically, not looking up from his work. "You've also been severely malnourished and sleep-deprived for what I estimate to be several months." Olivia closed her eyes, humiliation burning through her. 6 years of building her reputation as Artemis Pharmaceuticals' most brilliant research director, all to end with her broken body displayed for strangers to analyze like one of her failed experiments. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Somewhere safe," the woman answered, checking Olivia's for. "Mr. Corleone has ensured no one will find you here." Panic surged through Olivia. "I need to call work." "Explain, already handled," came a deep voice from the doorway. Luca Corleone entered, no longer wearing his blood-stained suit, but equally imposing in a black cashmere sweater and tailored slacks. Up close, without pain clouding her vision, Olivia could fully appreciate why people spoke of him in whispers. He wasn't just handsome in the conventional sense. He carried himself with the absolute certainty of someone who had never needed to question his place in the world's hierarchy. "Thank you, Dr. Rossi," Lucas said, dismissing the medical team with a slight nod. They exited immediately, leaving Olivia alone with a man whose name appeared in business journals and police blotters with equal frequency. Luca took a seat in the chair beside her bed, his movements controlled and precise. "Your emergency contact was listed as Vincent Shaw," he said, watching her face carefully. "I took the liberty of having that changed." The thought of Vincent being notified about her collapse sent ice through Olivia's veins. "He'll be looking for me. Let him look." Something cold and satisfied crossed Luca's expression. "How long has he been hurting you?" Olivia looked away, shame coloring her cheeks. How could she explain to someone like Luca Corleone, a man who exuded power from every pore, what felt like to be systematically broken down? To have your confidence so thoroughly destroyed that escape seemed impossible? 8 months, she finally answered. It started small. Criticisms. Controlling what I wore. 8. Who I spoke to. Then shoves that he'd apologize for. Then hits he said I provoked. The words tumbled out now, like water through a cracked dam. By the time I realized what was happening, he'd isolated me from everyone. And at work, he's untouchable. Luca finished for her, his Italian accent becoming more pronounced with his evident anger. Vincent Shaw, financial prodigy who saved Artemis from bankruptcy 3 years ago. The board's golden boy with connections to every major player in the pharmaceutical industry. Olivia nodded miserably. He told me no one would believe me, that he'd ruin my career, my reputation, that I'd never work in this field again. She hesitated. He has friends, powerful friends who owe him favors. So do I, Luca replied simply. For the first time, Olivia truly considered who she was speaking to. Everyone at Artemis knew the rumors about Luca Corleone, how his family had transformed their early 20th century bootlegging operation into legitimate businesses spanning real estate, shipping, and eventually pharmaceuticals. How problems that crossed the Corleone family had a habit of disappearing permanently. How Luca, despite his Harvard MBA and impeccable manners, was still, according to whispers, the head of one of the East Coast's most feared criminal organizations. Yet he was also the majority shareholder who had pushed for her promotion last year when her breakthrough research in immunotherapy caught his attention. The stern but fair executive who had never once made her feel uncomfortable or overlooked in meetings, unlike most of her male colleagues. "Why are you helping me?" she asked directly. "I'm just a research director. Replaceable." Something flashed in Luca's dark eyes, a memory or perhaps pain, before his expression returned to careful neutrality. "My mother had bruises she hid beneath high collars and long sleeves," he said after a long pause. "My father was a powerful man, too. Everyone knew. No one intervened." He stood, adjusting his platinum watch with meticulous precision. "Rest now. When you're stronger, we'll discuss your options." "Mr. Corleone," Olivia called as he reached the door. "Vincent isn't just some abusive boyfriend. He has political connections, friends in federal agencies. His brother is a deputy director at the FBI. She swallowed hard. "Whatever you're thinking of doing, I haven't decided what I'm doing yet," Luca interrupted, though his tone suggested otherwise. "But Vincent Shaw made 2 critical errors today, Ms. Romano. First, he hurt someone under my company's protection." A chilling smile touched his lips. "Second, he forgot to look around the room and recognize the most dangerous person in it." After Luca left, Olivia sank back against the pillows, her mind racing despite her exhaustion. She had escaped one monster only to find herself in the care of another, albeit one who, for now at least, seemed intent on protecting rather than harming her. Meanwhile, across town, Vincent Shaw paced the marble floors of his corner office, fury radiating from every movement. 3 calls to Olivia's phone had gone straight to voicemail. His contact at the hospital reported no record of her admission. She had simply vanished, along with the research files he needed for tomorrow's meeting with FDA officials. "Problem, Vince?" Senator James Harrison asked from his seat on the leather sofa, eyebrow raised in amusement. "You seem distracted." Vincent forced his features into a mask of calm. "Nothing I can't handle, Senator. Just a personnel issue." Harrison laughed, swirling the scotch in his crystal tumbler. Your little researcher? The one who collapsed today. At Vincent's surprised look, he shrugged. I have eyes and ears everywhere, my friend. Occupational necessity when you chair the Senate Committee on Pharmaceutical Oversight. She's become a liability, Vincent admitted, joining the senator and pouring himself a generous drink. But a temporary one. Better resolve it quickly, Harrison advised. The Meridian deal needs absolute discretion. If your girlfriend starts talking about those modified trial results, he let the implication hang in the air between them. She won't, Vincent replied with cold certainty. Olivia knows what happens to whistleblowers in this industry. Besides, I've spent months making sure she appears unstable. Missed deadlines, erratic behavior, all documented for HR. If she tries anything, it's her word against mine. He smiled thinly. And we both know whose word carries more weight. The senator nodded approvingly. That's why we work well together, Vince. Your attention to detail. He raised his glass. To Meridian and the billions it'll make us once it's approved next month. What neither man knew was that their conversation was being recorded by the discreet listening devices Luca's team had installed months earlier. Devices that were currently transmitting every word directly to the tablet Lucas studied as he sat beside Olivia's bed, watching over her troubled sleep. He touched the screen, ending the recording and opening a secure messaging app. 3 words were all he typed to his consigliere. Gather everything. Tonight. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying this story. What do you think Luca will do about Vincent? Leave your predictions in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think is coming next for Olivia and these 2 powerful men. 3 days passed in Luca's penthouse, with Olivia's physical wounds beginning to heal under Dr. Rossi's attentive care. The psychological damage, however, ran deeper. Each time the elevator chimed, she flinched. When doors closed, her breathing quickened. The sound of footsteps approaching her room sent her heart racing until she confirmed it wasn't Vincent coming to finish what he'd started. On the 4th morning, Olivia awoke to find clothes laid out for her. Not the blood-stained business attire from the boardroom, but new items with tag from exclusive boutiques still attached. Alongside them sat a sleek silver laptop and a cell phone she didn't recognize. She dressed carefully, mindful of her stitches, and ventured out of the guest suite for the first time. The penthouse was even more impressive by daylight. A modernist palace of glass, steel, and warm woods with Manhattan spread out below like a living map. She followed the scent of coffee to a sun-drenched kitchen where Lucas stood at the massive island, reading something on his tablet with intense concentration. Good morning, she said hesitantly. He looked up, his expression softening almost imperceptibly. You're looking better, he observed, pushing a steaming mug toward her. Coffee? I had it imported from a small farm outside Naples. The normality of the gesture, coffee on a sunny morning, struck Olivia as absurdly incongruous with her situation. Here she was, sharing breakfast with a man who, according to company rumors, had once had a competitor thrown off a yacht in international waters. Thank you, she said, accepting the mug. For everything. The doctor, the clothes. She paused. But I can't stay here indefinitely. I need to get back to work, to my life. Your life with Vincent? Luca asked mildly, though his eyes remained dangerous. No, Olivia replied firmly. That part of my life is over. But my research, your immunotherapy research, or the Meridian trials? Luca interrupted, watching her closely. Olivia froze, coffee mug halfway to her lips. How do you know about Meridian? Instead of answering, Luca tapped his tablet and turned it toward her. On the screen was a document she recognized immediately. The original, unaltered results from the Meridian drug trials showing severe hepatic complications in 17% of test subjects. The results Vincent had ordered her to clean up 6 months ago. This is classified research, she whispered, horrified. If Vincent finds out, Vincent already suspects you have these files, Lucas said. He's been quite vocal about it with Senator Harrison. He swiped to reveal a transcript of the conversation she'd been unaware was recorded. They're concerned you might become a whistleblower. The reality of her situation crashed over Olivia like a wave. They'll kill me, she said, the words emerging with absolute certainty. If they think I have evidence that Meridian causes liver failure when the FDA is weeks away from approval. She set down her coffee with shaking hands. You don't understand what's at stake. Artemis has billions riding on this drug. I understand perfectly, Luca replied. I'm a majority shareholder, remember? I've watched Vincent manipulate trial data for 3 different drugs in 2 years. The difference is Meridian won't just be profitable, it will be deadly. Olivia stared at him, confused. If you knew, why didn't you stop it? Something dangerous flashed in Luca's eyes. I needed proof that couldn't be explained away. Vincent is very careful about what appears in official channels. But now, he gestured to the tablet. Now, I have your original research, his recorded conversations with Harrison, and financial records showing unusual payments to FDA officials. Understanding dawned slowly. You've been building a case. Yes. Why show me this now? Luca studied her for a long moment, his intense gaze making Olivia feel simultaneously exposed and protected. Because you have a decision to make, he said finally. One that must be yours alone. He slid a thick folder across the island. Inside were photos of Vincent entering and leaving various buildings, her apartment, his office, an unfamiliar warehouse, an upscale restaurant where he was clearly meeting with Senator Harrison. The surveillance was comprehensive and clearly professional. Last night, Vincent filed a missing persons report, Luca continued. He's telling the police you've been emotionally unstable, that you've stopped taking medication for an invented psychiatric condition. He's positioned himself as the concerned boyfriend. Fear gripped Olivia's throat. He's setting me up, yes, but in doing so, he's made a critical mistake. Luca's expression was coldly satisfied. He's drawn official attention, created a paper trail, made public statements that can be disproven. What are you suggesting? You have 3 options, Luca said, ticking them off on his fingers. First, you can disappear. New name, new city, new life. I have resources to make that happen. The thought of abandoning everything she'd worked for made Olivia's chest tighten. And the second option? You become a whistleblower. Go public with the Meridian data. The pharmaceutical board will be forced to investigate. The FDA will delay approval. His expression darkened. But I won't lie to you. Vincent and Harrison would use every resource to discredit and destroy you. People have died for exposing less. Olivia swallowed hard. And the third option? Luca leaned forward, his voice dropping to a register that sent an involuntary shiver down her spine. You work with me. Privately. We gather irrefutable evidence against Vincent, Harrison, and everyone involved in the Meridian fraud. When the time is right, we strike in a way they can't recover from. And what happens to Vincent in this scenario? Olivia asked, already suspecting the answer. That depends on you, Luca replied carefully. How much justice do you want? The question hung between them, laden with implications. Olivia understood what he was really asking. How far was she willing to go for retribution? Did she want Vincent ruined, or did she want him to suffer as she had suffered? Before she could answer, Luca's security chief entered the kitchen, his expression grim. Sir, we have a situation. Vincent Shaw has just posted a $50,000 reward for information on Ms. Romano's whereabouts. He's claiming she stole proprietary research and may be selling it to competitors. That's absurd, Olivia gasped. I would never. It's a smart play, Luca interrupted, his tactical mind already analyzing the move. He's made you a target for every opportunist in the city while positioning himself as the victim. He turned to his security chief. Increase protection protocols. No one enters or leaves the building without verification. As a man departed, Olivia felt the walls closing in. He's not going to stop, is he? No, Luca confirmed. Men like Vincent Shaw don't stop until they're made to stop. Something in his tone, the absolute certainty of someone who had made men stop before, should have terrified her. Instead, Olivia felt a strange calm settling over her. For months, she had lived in fear, walking on eggshells, never knowing what might trigger Vincent's rage. Now, for the first time, she could see a path forward, dangerous and uncertain, but a path nonetheless. If I help you, she said slowly, I want guarantees. No innocent people get hurt. Whatever happens to Vincent and Harrison, it happens legally. A ghost of a smile touched Luca's lips. Legally is a flexible concept, Ms. Romano. Then within certain boundaries, she amended. I won't be responsible for her. She couldn't bring herself to finish the sentence. You won't be, Luca assured her, his expression softening marginally. But understand what you're agreeing to. Once we begin, there's no backing out. Vincent will use everything in his considerable arsenal to destroy you. The only way forward is through him. Their eyes locked across the kitchen island, hers still showing the fading yellow of a healing bruise, his dark and unreadable, yet somehow conveying absolute protection. In that moment, something shifted between them. An unspoken understanding, a dangerous alliance, perhaps something more. I'll help you, Olivia decided. Not for revenge, but because Meridian will kill people if it reaches the market. That's what matters most. Luca studied her, something like admiration flickering across his features. Your moral compass remains intact despite everything he did to you. Impressive. Don't mistake ethics for weakness, she replied, surprising herself with her boldness. I never would, he assured her, his voice dropping to that intimate register again. Quite the opposite. The charged moment was interrupted by Olivia's new phone ringing on the counter. The caller ID displayed Vincent Shaw. They both stared at the device, as if it were a snake that had slithered onto the marble surface. Olivia's hand trembled as she reached for it, but Luca caught her wrist gently. Allow me, he said, picking up the phone and activating the speaker. Olivia. Vincent's voice filled the kitchen, the familiar manipulative concern evident in his tone. Baby, where are you? Everyone's worried sick. Whatever you think you're doing, we can work it out. Just come home. Luca's eyes never left Olivia's face as Vincent continued his performance of the distraught boyfriend. She felt her pulse racing, the old fear rising. Then something new replaced it. Clarity, determination, rage. She nodded once at Luca, who released her wrist. Hello, Vincent, she said, her voice steadier than she'd expected. Olivia, thank God. Relief colored his voice. Where are you? I've been out of my mind with worry. I'm somewhere safe, she replied. Somewhere you can't hurt me anymore. A beat of silence. Then Vincent's tone changed, hardening into something more familiar. Don't be dramatic. We both know you're unstable right now. The police are very concerned about your mental state, especially after I showed them your medication. Medication I've never taken for conditions I don't have, Olivia countered. Interesting how prescriptions can appear in my name without my knowledge. Another pause. You're making serious accusations, Olivia. Think carefully about what you're doing, about what you might lose. The threat was barely veiled. I already lost everything the first time you put your hands on me, she replied, a strange calm washing over her. There's nothing else you can take. I wouldn't be so sure. Vincent's voice dropped to a menacing whisper. Your career, your reputation, maybe even your life. You know what happens to whistleblowers in this industry. Luca's expression darkened dangerously, but he remained silent, allowing Olivia to handle the call her way. Is that a threat, Vincent? She asked, deliberately provoking him. It's a promise, you ungrateful bitch, he snarled, his carefully constructed facade finally cracking. You were nothing before me. I made your career. I kept your pathetic research funded. And this is how you repay me? By stealing my files and disappearing. Your files? Olivia repeated. Interesting choice of words for research I conducted. Those Meridian results belong to Artemis, Vincent snapped. To me. If you've shown them to anyone, goodbye, Vincent, Olivia interrupted, a newfound strength in her voice. Don't call this number again. You listen to me. His voice cut off as Luca ended the call. Silence filled the kitchen. Olivia released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, her hands shaking with adrenaline, but her mind surprisingly clear. He just confessed to knowing about the stolen files, Luca observed. Files he supposedly doesn't know you have. And he threatened you on a recorded line. Will that be enough? Olivia asked. For the legal system? Perhaps not. Luca's expression was calculating. But for what I have planned, it's a perfect beginning. He extended his hand across the island. Partners. Olivia hesitated only briefly before placing her hand in his much larger one. His grip was warm and solid, conveying strength without threat. The opposite of everything she'd known with Vincent. Partners, she agreed. In that moment, with morning sunlight streaming through panoramic windows and the echoes of Vincent's threats still hanging in the air, Olivia made her choice. She was done being a victim. With Luca Corleone's dangerous resources behind her, she would become something Vincent Shaw had never anticipated, a worthy opponent. If you're loving this story of revenge and justice, hit that subscribe button now. What do you think Luca and Olivia will do to take down Vincent? Leave your predictions in the comments below. The liver damage isn't just a side effect. It's by design, Olivia explained, pointing to the molecular structure displayed on the penthouse's wall screen. 2 weeks had passed since her decision to partner with Luca, and the dining room had been transformed into their war room. Digital screens displayed surveillance photos, financial records, and Olivia's research data. Meridian was originally developed as an aggressive chemotherapy agent, but Vincent rebranded it as an arthritis treatment because the market is exponentially larger. Luca studied the complex diagrams with surprising comprehension. For a man whose formal education ended with business school, his grasp of scientific concepts was remarkable. So the liver damage is cumulative and often fatal, Olivia confirmed grimly. By the time patients show symptoms, the damage is irreversible. Vincent buried these findings by segregating test groups and falsifying follow-up data. And Harrison ensures FDA fast-tracking in exchange for what? $20 million in offshore accounts, plus stock options that will triple in value once Meridian hits the market. Olivia pulled up financial records his team had uncovered. They're expecting first-year revenue of $12 billion. Even with thousands of potential deaths, the lawsuits would cost less than the profits. Disgust flashed across Luca's features. There are lines even I don't cross, he murmured, almost to himself. Olivia had come to understand this about Luca Corleone. His morality was complex but unshakable. He operated outside the law, but adhered to a personal code that was, in many ways, more stringent than legal statutes. Violence was a tool, never pleasure. Business was conducted with absolute integrity, even when that business existed in shadows. And harm to the innocent was forbidden. The board meeting is tomorrow, she said, checking her watch. Vincent will present the complete Meridian findings and request final approval for market launch. And you'll be there, Lucas stated, his tone making it clear this wasn't a suggestion. Anxiety fluttered in Olivia's chest. You think that's wise? Vincent believes I've disappeared with incriminating files. The moment you walk in, Luca interrupted, moving closer. You reclaim your position. You show strength. And most importantly, you give Vincent exactly what he doesn't expect, which is a target he can see. Luca's expression was calculating. While his attention is fixed on you, my people will access his private servers. Olivia understood the strategy, but couldn't suppress her fear. He's dangerous, Luca. You didn't see what he was capable of behind closed doors. Something dangerous flickered in Luca's eyes. He stepped closer, close enough that Olivia could detect the subtle scent of his cologne, sandalwood, and something uniquely him. I've seen the photographs Dr. Rossi took of your injuries, he said quietly. I know exactly what Vincent Shaw is capable of. The difference is he was dangerous when you were alone. His hand moved to her face, his thumb gently brushing the now-healed bruise beneath her eye. You're not alone anymore. The touch was brief but electric, sending unexpected warmth through Olivia's body. Over the past 2 weeks, something had been shifting between them. A tension that wasn't entirely professional, moments when their eyes held for a beat too long, an awareness that hummed beneath their strategic planning. She stepped back, needing distance to clear her thoughts. I'll need protection. Vincent has security. You'll have an entire team, Luca assured her. My most trusted people. Invisible, but omnipresent. And if he tries something anyway, the smile that curved Luca's lips never reached his eyes. Then he'll learn why 3 generations of Corleones have remained untouchable in this city. Later that evening, Olivia stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse, watching darkness settle over Manhattan. Tomorrow would be the first time she faced Vincent since her collapse. Despite Luca's assurances, fear coiled in her stomach like a poisonous snake. You should rest. Luca's voice came from behind her. Tomorrow requires clear thinking. She turned to find him holding 2 glasses of amber liquid. Is that your solution? Alcohol. This is 50-year-old Macallan, he corrected, offering her a glass. Not a solution. A ritual. My father taught me to always take a moment of stillness before battle. Is that what tomorrow is? A battle? The first of several. Luca joined her at the window, his powerful presence somehow both intimidating and comforting. You should know Vincent has escalated his search for you. He's hired private investigators, bribed police officers, offered larger rewards. How did I not see who he really was? Olivia asked softly, more to herself than to Luca. I have 2 PhDs. I'm supposed to be intelligent, observant. Predators like Shaw are expert manipulators, Luca replied. They isolate gradually, test boundaries incrementally, ensure their victims doubt their own perceptions. His voice held a personal edge that made Olivia wonder again about his mother, about the childhood that had shaped him into both a criminal leader and a man who wouldn't tolerate abuse. How did you escape your father? She asked directly, surprising herself with her boldness. Luca's expression darkened momentarily. I didn't. My mother did, by dying when I was 12. Afterward, he focused his rage elsewhere. The simple tragedy of that statement hung in the air between them. Without thinking, Olivia reached out, her fingers brushing his hand in a gesture of comfort. Luca looked startled, as if unaccustomed to compassionate touch. I'm sorry, she said. It was a long time ago. He finished his scotch in one smooth motion. But it taught me to recognize men like Vincent Shaw, men who believe power gives them the right to hurt others. And what about you? Olivia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. What kind of man does power make you? Their eyes locked, something unspoken passing between them. Challenge, assessment, and something deeper that neither was ready to name. That, Luca replied quietly, is a question I ask myself every day. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear with unexpected tenderness. The gesture was brief but intimate, sending electricity through Olivia's body. Before she could react, Luca stepped back, professional distance returning to his manner. The car will be ready at 7 tomorrow morning, he said. My security team will brief you on protocols before departure. With that, he turned and left her alone with her thoughts, the lingering warmth of his touch, and the growing certainty that whatever was developing between them was as dangerous as it was inevitable. The following morning, Olivia entered Artemis Pharmaceuticals headquarters wearing armor of a different kind, a tailored charcoal suit that radiated confidence, subtle makeup that covered the last fading traces of bruising, and small communication device hidden in her ear connecting her to Luca's security team. Approaching lobby checkpoint, came the calm voice of Marco. Luca is head of security. Security cameras looping now. Shaw is on the 14th floor in the executive boardroom. 22 people present, including the board and FDA representatives. Olivia maintained her composure as she crossed the marble lobby, aware of stares and whispers from employees who had witnessed her collapse and subsequent disappearance. The security guard at the desk did a double take when he saw her. Ms. Romano, we were told. There's been a missing persons report, she finished smoothly. A misunderstanding that's being rectified. I have the board meeting to attend. Before he could respond, the elevator arrived, its doors opening to reveal Luca's driver, Enzo, a former Special Forces operative who now served as part of Luca's inner circle. His presence was no coincidence. 14th floor? He asked casually as she entered. Yes, Olivia confirmed, heart pounding as. The doors closed. 5 of our people are already in position, Enzo informed her quietly. The server room is secured. Communications are being monitored. At no point will you be alone or vulnerable. The elevator ascended smoothly, each floor bringing Olivia closer to confrontation. She touched the small pendant at her throat, an elegant piece Luca had given her that morning. It contains a tracking device and panic button, he'd explained, fastening it around her neck, his fingers lingering briefly against her skin. If anything goes wrong, press it for 3 seconds. I'll have you out within minutes. The elevator doors opened on the 14th floor, revealing the sleek reception area of Artemis's executive suite. The meeting had already begun. She could hear Vincent's voice through the partially open boardroom doors, confident and commanding as he presented the falsified Meridian data. As you can see from these final trial results, Meridian demonstrates unprecedented efficacy with minimal side effects. The FDA Fast Track designation reflects the revolutionary nature of this treatment. Olivia took a deep breath, straightened her shoulders, and pushed open the boardroom doors. The reaction was immediate and dramatic. Vincent froze mid-sentence, his presentation clicker suspended in air. Board members gasped or murmured in surprise. Senator Harrison, present as a special observer, nearly spilled his coffee. "I apologize for my absence," Olivia said calmly, walking to an empty seat as if nothing were amiss. "I had a medical emergency requiring treatment. I'm pleased to rejoin the team for this critical meeting." She sat down directly across from Vincent, meeting his stunned gaze with steady determination. The shock on his face quickly morphed into something darker, more calculated, a look she recognized from countless nights when he decided she needed to be taught a lesson. "Olivia," he recovered smoothly. "What a surprise. We've been concerned about your mental state. Perhaps we should discuss your return privately after this meeting." "My mental state is excellent," she replied evenly. "Please, continue with your presentation. I'm particularly interested in the liver function studies from the extended trials." A flicker of panic crossed Vincent's face before he masked it. "We were just getting to that. As I was saying, safety profiles show minimal hepatic concerns." For the next hour, Olivia watched Vincent weave his web of scientific deception with impressive skill. He presented manipulated data sets, cherry-picked patient outcomes, and structured his arguments to obscure the devastating liver damage Meridian caused. Through her earpiece, she received periodic updates from Luca's team as they systematically infiltrated Vincent's digital life. Server access complete. Downloading all Meridian files now. Personal email archives secured. Offshore account details identified. Transfers to Harrison confirmed. Each update strengthened Olivia's resolve as she waited for a moment. When Vincent finally opened the floor for questions, she raised her hand with deliberate calm. "I'm curious about something," she began innocently. "The Phase 3 liver function tests show abnormally perfect results compared to Phases 1 and 2. Could you explain the methodology changes that achieved this remarkable improvement?" Vincent's smile tightened almost imperceptibly. "Simply better patient screening protocols and improved drug formulation." "Interesting," Olivia continued, aware of every eye in the room on her. "Because when I compare the raw data from the testing labs with the results you're presenting today, they don't match at all." The room went silent. Vincent's face hardened, but before he could respond, the boardroom doors opened again. Luca Corleone entered, flanked by two men in suits and a woman Olivia recognized as the FDA's chief compliance officer. His timing, as always, was impeccable. "Forgive the interruption," Lucas said smoothly, his voice carrying easy authority. "But this meeting needs to be temporarily adjourned. Dr. Claire Williams from the FDA has some urgent questions about the Meridian application." The FDA officer stepped forward, her expression grave. "We've received concerning information about potential data manipulation in the Meridian trials. Until this is investigated thoroughly, all approval processes are suspended." Vincent's face drained of color as he looked from Olivia to Luca, finally understanding what was happening. Senator Harrison was already on his feet, making excuses about another appointment as he attempted to leave. "Senator," Luca called, stopping Harrison in his tracks. "I believe the federal agents in the lobby would appreciate speaking with you before you depart. Something about unusual deposits in your Cayman accounts coinciding with FDA fast-track approvals." Chaos erupted as board members demanded explanations. The FDA officer began impounding documents, and security personnel blocked the exits. Vincent remained frozen, his eyes locked on Olivia with naked hatred. "You're dead," he mouthed silently across the table. "You have no idea what you've done." Olivia should have felt fear at the threat, but sitting there with Luca's presence behind her, she felt only a cool, clarifying rage. "No, Vincent," she replied, loud enough for those nearby to hear. "You have no idea what I've survived." Within minutes, federal agents entered to escort Vincent and Senator Harrison away for questioning. The board members were detained for statements. As the room cleared, Olivia remained seated, processing what had just occurred. The first battle was won, but she had no illusions that the war was over. Luca approached, standing close enough that only she could hear his words. "It's done. We have everything. The unaltered research, the financial records, recorded conversations between Shaw and Harrison planning the cover-up. The FBI has enough to put them away for decades." "You make it sound so simple," Olivia said, still watching Vincent being led away in handcuffs. "The legal part is simple," Luca replied. "The rest." He hesitated. "Vincent Shaw has resources beyond his corporate position. Connections in places even federal custody can't completely neutralize. The implication was clear. Vincent might be temporarily contained, but he remained dangerous. "Take me home," Olivia requested quietly, suddenly exhausted from the adrenaline crash. Luca's hand came to rest briefly on her shoulder, warm and reassuring. "The penthouse is secure. You'll be safe there." What neither mentioned was that somewhere in the past 2 weeks, Luca's penthouse had indeed become home, a place where Olivia felt protected, valued, and increasingly essential. Not as a victim under his protection, but as a partner in a dangerous game neither could play alone. As they left the Artemis building, neither noticed the dark sedan parked across the street, its driver documenting their departure with a high-resolution camera. Inside, a man with cold eyes forwarded the images to an encrypted messaging service with a simple text. Asterisk confirmed. Romano under Corleone protection. Awaiting instructions. Asterisk the reply came seconds later. Asterisk proceed as planned. Targeting her provides perfect access to both. The family approves. Asterisk if you're enjoying this intense story of revenge and protection, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below. Do you think Vincent will find a way to strike back from behind bars? And what about the growing connection between Olivia and Luca? I can't wait to hear your thoughts. The news broke like a tsunami across financial markets and pharmaceutical circles. Artemis executives arrested in massive fraud scheme. Within hours, Artemis Pharmaceuticals' stock plummeted 40% as details emerged about Vincent Shaw and Senator Harrison's conspiracy to push a deadly drug through regulatory approval. Federal agents had seized servers, arrested 6 executives, and frozen countless accounts as the investigation expanded. From the safety of Luca's penthouse, Olivia watched the coverage with mixed emotions. Relief that Meridian would never reach patience, satisfaction at Vincent's public downfall, but also a lingering unease. Vincent's final threat echoed in her mind. Men like him didn't surrender easily, even from behind bars. The federal prosecutor believes they can hold Vincent without bail, Luca informed her, entering the living room with 2 cups of coffee. 3 weeks had passed since the boardroom confrontation. The evidence is overwhelming, and they've classified him as a flight risk. That won't stop him, Olivia said, accepting the coffee. You don't know him like I do. Perhaps not, Luca acknowledged, sitting beside her. But I understand men who believe themselves untouchable. They always have contingency plans. As if summoned by his words, Luca's security chief entered with a tablet. Sir, there's something you need to see. Immediately, the tablet displayed security camera footage from what appeared to be a maximum security prison. The timestamp showed it was from earlier that morning. In the footage, Vincent sat in a visitation booth speaking with an older man Olivia didn't recognize, distinguished, expensively dressed, with the bearing of someone accustomed to power. Salvatore Vitali, Luca identified, his expression darkening. Head of the Vitali crime family. Why would a crime boss visit Vincent? Olivia asked, confusion giving way to dread. Instead of answering, Luca turned to his security chief. Enhanced the audio. The conversation between Vincent and Salvatore Vitali filled the room. My resources are at your disposal, Vitali was saying. The judge handling your case has been receptive to our suggestions in the past. And in return, Vincent asked, you have something we've wanted for years, a legitimate path to Luca Corleone. Vitali leaned closer to the glass. This woman he's protecting, she's the key. The family has authorized significant resources to finally end the Corleone problem. Vincent's smile was cold. Olivia is his weakness. I've seen how he looks at her. Then we have an understanding. You'll be released within days on a technicality. After that, we move against both of them. The footage ended, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. Olivia felt ice spreading through her veins as the implications became clear. She wasn't just a target, she was bait. You knew, she said to Luca, pieces falling into place. You knew Vincent had connections to the Vitalis. I suspected, Luca corrected, his expression unreadable. The Vitali family has been trying to eliminate Corleone leadership for generations. They've never succeeded because we never present vulnerabilities. His gaze met hers. Until now, the realization struck Olivia with devastating clarity. I'm your vulnerability. No, Luca countered immediately, something fierce flashing in his eyes. "You're under my protection. There's a difference." "Is there?" Olivia stood, sudden anger burning through her fear. "You used me as bait to draw Vincent out, to expose his crimes. Now I'm being used again, this time to get to you." "That was never my intention," Luca insisted, rising to face her. "I helped you because of your mother," Olivia finished. "Because you couldn't save her, so you saved me instead." A convenient redemption. The accusation hit its mark. Luca flinched as if physically struck. When he spoke again, his voice was dangerously quiet. "Is that what you think? That you were merely convenient?" Before Olivia could respond, the penthouse security system blared a warning. Red lights flashed as monitors displayed armed men entering the building's private garage. "Breach in progress," the security chief reported. "Multiple hostiles. They've compromised the service entrance." Luca immediately shifted into tactical mode. Evacuation Protocol Alpha. Now, within seconds, the penthouse transformed into a fortress under siege. Security personnel appeared from hidden rooms, weapons drawn. Reinforced shutters descended over windows. A hidden panel in the wall slid open, revealing a secure room. "Get her to the safe room," Luca ordered his security chief. "Full lockdown procedures." "Wait," Olivia protested as strong hands guided her toward the hidden chamber. "What about you?" Luca's expression softened momentarily. "This was always inevitable, Olivia. The Vitales were always going to come for me. The only difference is now I have something worth protecting." He stepped closer, cupping her face in his hands. "Something I won't lose." Before she could respond, he kissed her, not gently, but with the desperate intensity of a man who might never get another chance. Olivia responded instinctively, months of tension and unacknowledged attraction crystallizing in this single, perfect moment of connection. When they separated, Luca's eyes held a warmth she'd never seen before. "Whatever you thought about my motives, know this. What's between us has never been about convenience or redemption. It's about finding the one person who sees me. Not the crime lord, not the businessman, just me." Gunfire erupted from the lower floors, shattering the moment. Luca pushed Olivia toward the safe room. "Go. Now. My men will protect you with their lives." "I won't hide while you fight my battle," she insisted. "This isn't your battle anymore," Luca replied grimly. "This is a war that began long before you enter my life. The difference is, now I have a reason to end it permanently." With that, he turned away, drawing a weapon from beneath his jacket as he issued rapid commands to his men. The last image Olivia had before being secured in the safe room was Luca Corleone transformed. No longer the refined businessman, but the ruthless defender of his domain, prepared to face whatever came with lethal precision. Inside the fortified chamber, monitors displayed what was happening throughout the penthouse. Olivia watched in horror as Vitali's men breached the upper floors, engaging in fierce firefights with Luca's security team. The attackers were professional, well-armed, and clearly prepared for Luca's defenses. And leading them was Vincent Shaw, somehow freed from federal custody in less than 24 hours, a testament to the Vitali family's corrupt influence. "Find the woman," Vincent ordered his mercenaries, his voice coming through the security feed. "Salvatore want Corleone alive, at least initially, but Olivia is mine to deal with." The venom in his voice sent chills down Olivia's spine. This wasn't just about business anymore. For Vincent, this was deeply personal. Revenge against the woman who had defied him, exposed him, destroyed his carefully constructed empire. On the monitors, Olivia watched Luca fighting with unexpected skill, not just giving orders, but engaging directly, moving with the lethal grace of someone trained from childhood for combat. Yet even as his men repelled the initial wave of attackers, more kept coming. The Vitales had committed significant resources to this assault. Olivia knew the safe room was impenetrable. Luca had assured her of that. She could wait out the attack, protected by layers of steel and concrete. But as she watched Vincent prowling through the penthouse, hunting for her while his men cornered Luca's outnumbered security team, something inside her rebelled against hiding. For months, she had been Vincent's victim. Then she had been Luca's protected witness. Now it was time to be neither, to become instead the architect of her own salvation. The safe room contained emergency supplies, including weapons. Olivia had never fired a gun, but during their weeks together, Luca had insisted she learn basic self-defense. Knowledge is its own protection, he'd told her as he taught her vulnerable points, escape techniques, how to turn everyday objects into weapons. She examined the control panel of the safe room, identifying the emergency override. Using it would announce her position to everyone in the penthouse, a calculated risk. But it would also create a diversion that might give Luca the advantage he needed. Decision made, Olivia activated her earpiece, connecting to Luca's private channel. "I'm creating a diversion," she said without preamble. "Be ready." "Olivia, no." His protest was cut short as she triggered the override, sending the safe room door sliding open with a hydraulic hiss that echoed through the penthouse. The reaction was immediate. Vincent's head snapped toward the sound, a predatory smile spreading across his face. "Found you," he murmured, breaking away from his men to move toward the revealed safe room. Exactly as Olivia had intended. As Vincent approached, weapon drawn, Olivia remained hidden just inside the doorway, heart pounding but mind clear. Everything Luca had taught her crystallized into perfect focus, timing, leverage, vulnerability. Vincent was stronger, armed, dangerous, but also arrogant, convinced of his superiority. He entered the safe room cautiously, gun extended. "Did you really think you could hide from me forever, Olivia?" he called. "After everything I invested in you." The moment he passed the threshold, Olivia struck, not with strength, but with surgical precision, targeting the radial nerve in his gun arm, just as Luca had taught her. Vincent howled in pain as the weapon clattered to the floor. Before he could recover, she delivered a devastating kick to his knee, sending him crashing down. "You invested nothing in me," Olivia said, retrieving his fallen gun and backing toward the door. "You tried to destroy me. There's a difference." Vincent lunged for her despite his injured knee, rage overriding tactical thinking. Olivia sidestepped, letting his momentum carry him past her and out of the safe room. With one fluid motion, she slammed her hand on the emergency close button, sealing Vincent outside the protected chamber. But she remained outside with him, the gun now leveled at his chest. "You won't shoot me," Vincent sneered, though doubt flickered in his eyes. "You don't have it in you. You're weak, emotional, predictable. You're right about one thing," Olivia interrupted calmly. "I'm emotional. Right now, I'm feeling something very specific, justice." She adjusted her aim slightly and fired, the bullet tearing through Vincent's shoulder rather than his heart. He screamed, collapsing against the wall as blood soaked his expensive suit. Olivia kept the weapon trained on him, unwavering despite her racing pulse. "That was for every bruise," she told him quietly. "For every time you made me feel powerless. The difference between us, Vincent, is that I don't need to kill you to win. Your life is already over. Your reputation, your career, your freedom. All gone." Through the chaos of gunfire elsewhere in the penthouse, Luca appeared at the end of the hallway, taking in the scene with a single glance. Vincent bleeding against the wall, Olivia standing over him with perfect composure, weapon steady in her hands. "The Vitali forces are retreating," Luca informed her, approaching cautiously. Salvatore wasn't among them. "He wouldn't risk himself," Vincent gasped through pain. "He's smarter than that. Smart enough to sacrifice you," Luca observed coldly. "How does it feel to be the expendable one, Shaw?" Before Vincent could respond, the distinctive sound of police sirens filled the air, growing louder by the second. "You called the police," Olivia realized, looking at Luca with surprise. "A calculated risk," he confirmed. "Sometimes the legitimate authorities serve our purposes better than alternatives." His gaze returned to Vincent, something darkly satisfied in his expression. "The evidence of your collaboration with organized crime will ensure you never see freedom again. The Vitales won't help you now. You've failed them." Terror dawned in Vincent's eyes as he understood the full extent of his situation. "You can't do this," he pleaded. "They'll kill me in prison." "Perhaps," Luca agreed without sympathy. "But that's no longer my concern." He turned to Olivia, his expression softening. "Are you all right?" She lowered the gun finally, adrenaline giving way to trembling exhaustion. "Yes, but we need to leave before the police arrive, don't we? Your position is more complicated than you realize," Luca finished, a small smile touching his lips. The commissioner of police is my second cousin. The district attorney plays poker in my house monthly. My family's businesses have been legitimate for longer than you might think. Understanding dawned on Olivia. The Mafia boss reputation is a useful deterrent that keeps more dangerous elements at bay, Luca confirmed. I operate in gray areas, yes, but I've never been what Vincent and the Vitales believe me to be. As police tactical teams swarmed the penthouse, Luca and Olivia watched Vincent being taken into custody, charged not only with his pharmaceutical crimes, but now with attempted murder, conspiracy with organized crime, and a dozen other felonies that would keep him in prison for life. When the chaos finally subsided hours later, Olivia found herself on the penthouse balcony, watching dawn break over the city. Luca joined her, battle-worn but victorious, 2 steaming cups in hand. "What happens now?" she asked, accepting the coffee. "Salvatore Vitali will be indicted by morning," Luca replied. "My sources in federal law enforcement have been building a case against him for years. Vincent's testimony will be the final piece they needed." "I met with us," Olivia clarified softly. Luca turned to her, vulnerability evident in his expression for perhaps the first time since she'd known him. "That depends entirely on you. The danger has passed. Vincent will never threaten you again. You're free to return to your life, your research, whatever future you choose. And if the future I choose includes you," something like hope flickered in Luca's eyes, "then I would consider myself the fortunate one." He took her hand gently. "I meant what I said before. What's between us has never been about convenience or obligation. From the moment you stood up to Vincent in that boardroom, I saw something in you that matched something in me. Strength that refuses to be broken. Principles that can't be compromised." Olivia moved closer, the last barriers between them finally dissolving. "We're both survivors," she said simply. "Maybe that's why we recognize each other." As sunrise painted the city in gold and pink, Luca Corleone, the man whose name inspired fear throughout the criminal world and respect in legitimate business, looked at Olivia with wonder, as if she were the most remarkable discovery of his complicated life. "Stay," he requested quietly. "Not because you need protection, but because I need you. Your brilliance, your courage, your perspective on a world I've seen only from shadows." In answer, Olivia closed the distance between them, initiating their second kiss. This one not desperate or urgent, but a beginning, a promise, a choice made freely by a woman who had reclaimed her power and a man who had found, at last, someone worthy of his carefully guarded heart. 3 months later, Olivia stood in a different boardroom, this one at the headquarters of the newly formed Corleone Medical Research Foundation. As CEO, she addressed pharmaceutical executives, research scientists, and FDA officials gather for the announcement of their first major initiative, developing affordable alternatives to drugs like Meridian, with transparency and patient safety as non-negotiable priorities. In the back of the room, Luca watched with unmistakable pride as Olivia commanded the attention of some of the industry's most powerful figures. The woman who had once hidden bruises beneath. High collars now wore her authority with natural grace, her intelligence and vision reshaping an industry from the inside out. The foundation had already attracted top research talent, substantial funding, and partnerships with prestigious universities. What had begun as Olivia's personal nightmare had transformed into an opportunity to protect countless patients from similar corporate malfeasance. Vincent Shaw watched the press conference from prison, the television in the common area broadcasting Olivia's triumph to his utter despair. His protection from the Vitali family had evaporated with Salvatore's arrest. His reputation was destroyed, his assets seized, his future confined to a cell where each day brought the terror of wondering if today would be the day someone collected the bounty still technically on his head. As for the Corleones and their centuries-old conflict with rival families, an uneasy peace had settled across the city. Luca's decisive response to the penthouse attack had sent a clear message. The old underworld wars were finished. Business would proceed legitimately. Disputes would be settled legally, and those who clung to outdated methods of criminality would find themselves isolated and vulnerable. That evening, Luca and Olivia dined on the penthouse balcony. Now, their shared home, the painful memories of the attack reclaimed and transformed like everything else in their unlikely journey together. The foundation received 3 more research grants today, Olivia told him, the excitement of building something meaningful evident in her voice. And 2 whistleblowers from Gentech reached out about similar problems with their diabetes medication. Luca listened, content to watch her animated expression as she outlined her plans for expanding the foundation's oversight capacity. This was the woman he had glimpsed from the beginning, brilliant, passionate, unstoppable when freed from fear. You've created something extraordinary, he observed when she paused for breath. In just 3 months. We created it, she corrected, reaching for his hand across the table. I had the scientific vision, but your resources and influence made it possible. A formidable partnership, Luca agreed, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. In every way, Olivia replied, her meaning clear in the warmth of her gaze. Later, as they stood together watching the city lights, Luca reflected on the strange providence that had brought them together. A collapsed woman in a boardroom, blood seeping through her shirt, revealing not just her wounds but the corruption that had caused them. From that moment of vulnerability had emerged something neither could have anticipated. A love forged in danger, tested in battle, and now flourishing in the peace they had created together. What are you thinking? Olivia asked, leaning against him. Luca answered with unusual candor. That some men believe power comes from creating fear. But true power, the kind that changes worlds rather than destroying them, comes from creating safety, from protecting what matters. And what matters to Luca Corleone? She asked, turning in his arms to face him. His answer was simple and absolute. You, us, the future we're building. He kissed her gently. The justice we deliver together. And in that moment, as the most dangerous man in the city held the woman who had helped redefine his legacy, both understood a truth that had eluded them separately. Sometimes healing comes from unexpected places. Strength emerges from broken things. And the most powerful protection isn't found in weapons or walls, but in being truly seen and valued by someone who recognizes your worth. For Olivia Romano, who had once hidden bruises beneath carefully chosen clothes, and Luca Corleone, who had hidden his heart beneath a carefully cultivated reputation, that recognition had become everything, a foundation stronger than fear, more enduring than violence, and more transformative than revenge. That, in the end, was their greatest victory. If you enjoyed this story of justice, healing, and unexpected connection, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more powerful narratives that explore the complexities of human strength and vulnerability. What did you think about Olivia's transformation from victim to victor? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing what resonates with you. Until next time, remember that sometimes our greatest power emerges from our darkest moments.